Welcome to A.U.M. Ask Us Marketing. It's wow, not started that poorly in a while. Welcome, we are live if you can't tell. I'm your host, Kalli Fedusenko. I'm the founder of Savvy Advisor Marketing. We are a digital marketing agency developed to build relationships between financial advisors and their target audience, using data to create websites, online content, and ads. We build relationships first and we grow numbers second. And if you'd like to learn more about me, you can scan the QR code over here, which will take you to my bio. And even hear how I got started. Our episode today is brought to you by the Financial Planning Association, otherwise known as the FPA. FPA is a great resource center providing education, support, and networking opportunities for advisors like you. So make sure to check them out and pay special attention to their events. Okay, so you've got a brand, but do you have somebody championing it? I am all over the place today. Diana Cabrices is the go-to name in evangelist marketing in the financial space, and she's here to share what it takes to become or hire somebody who makes your message unforgettable. So please join me in welcoming Diana.
Hello.
Hi, Diana.
What a great intro. And I just it's amazing how you can do that live and still be like genuine in yourself, and you're doing great. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Thank you. I am just tongue-tied today. I think I, got in my head about how to pronounce your last name, and then I still said it wrong.
It's totally good. I told you, whatever way it comes out, it's fine.
So, okay, we're here. I'm very excited about this because I'm in marketing. I didn't even know what a brand evangelist was until early last year.
Hey, you're not alone.
Yeah. So I want to know, tell us what exactly is a brand evangelist? Because that's what you do, right?
Yep. That's exactly what I do. A brand evangelist is your charismatic torchbearer. It is someone who goes out in the marketplace and creates awareness around the product or service that you have, but not directly, more indirectly, leading through education. So focusing first on the problem you solve and why it's important and that pain point that people experience, and then tying that back into, again, that product or that service that you offer to your marketplace. An evangelist can be a founder of a company. It can be somebody that uses your product or service and is very passionate about it and wants to go out and spread the good word. It could be someone who has experience with your target audience, and you hire them to come in and be that brand evangelist for your company. But overall, an evangelist is someone who is passionate about your product or service, and he's going to go out and spread a lot of awareness about it to get people to take action.
Got it. And how is that different from an influencer?
Great question. So it's funny you asked me that, because sometimes when I'm trying to explain what an evangelist is, I'll use interchangeably the word influencer, the word ambassador, the word spokesperson, because truly an evangelist can be all of those things at once. An influencer is someone you tap into because they have a huge following. That may not be the case of an evangelist. It might not be that they have a huge following, but it might be that they have a lot of talent around the role of an evangelist, and they have a lot of experience around what your product or service does and what problem it solves. So if you're looking at an evangelist and you're saying, hey, you're so good on video, or you're really good on this podcast that you run, or you're so good taking the stage and giving keynote presentations, we want to hire you to do this for our market, then great. They may not have a 300,000 followers like an influencer has, but you want to leverage them because they have that talent. And over time, the market builds, the following builds.
Okay, I see. I like that. So they aren't necessarily like a brand evangelist by career all the time. Maybe you're approaching them and asking them to be a brand evangelist.
Exactly. That's spot on, Kalli, because some people don't even know they're brand evangelists. they're just like, and it's funny because I didn't know the term either until a few months before I launched my business, about 6 months before I launched my business is when I really started to understand what it was. I had heard it before, and then I really dove deep into what it exactly was. But I realized when I did that, it was like, oh, that's totally me. I've been an evangelist, not just for the companies that I worked for, but for my hairstylist and for my accountant who I love. Like I'm always telling people about something good that has changed my life and that I think that they should pay attention to. That's evangelizing.
Yeah. Okay. I love that. Let's talk about why it works. Like, why is it especially powerful in financial services or other industries like that?
Yes. So when we think about financial services, it is very much a human centric industry, right? H2H, human to human interactions. An evangelist is going to bring humanization to the forefront of your business. For example, you go to market, you're launching, I don't know, a new service model. You can put out a blog, you can put out a press release, and those are great things to have. You could put out a little social graphic that says we launched so and so, here's what it is. But that doesn't have any human in it. That's just text, that's just content, that's just design. But when you say, all right, we're going to lead with our evangelists on the front lines with a video, and it might be you might be the founder, you might be the evangelist. Sometimes that's what's happening. If you want to launch a video, you want to host a webinar, you want to gather a crowd, you want to host an event, get people in the same room. I always say people don't buy from businesses, people buy from people. And so that's why in financial services, this works so well. Also, I want you to think about what I said earlier, leading with education. Financial topics are very complex. And a good evangelist is going to break down complexity into easy to understand messaging. And if I were to take it one layer deeper, I would also say financial services, right? When we're looking for an advisor or a planner, it seems pretty commoditized from the outside, right? We're like, well, you're an advisor. Well, you're an advisor. You're an advisor. Like, what really makes you different? And this is definitely shifting as more people go independent. But you have an opportunity there with an evangelist to go out into that market and to educate and share why you're different and talk to your target market. And again, it's just having dynamic humans on the front lines.
Yeah. Okay. I like that a lot because I really love like putting the person first instead of, I mean, our tagline, build relationships and then grow numbers.
Yep, exactly. That's how it works. That drives the numbers.
Yes. So an evangelist might not even be somebody that you're paying, but sometimes it is. At what point would you consider hiring somebody to be a brand evangelist?
Yeah, it's a great question. And you're spot on. You might be the founder and the evangelist, or you might run up to situations where you can't really take on that load. And we can definitely talk about that. There's a few business milestones that you will come across that are, to me, are one of the best times to make sure you're leading with brand evangelism and you're doing the evangelist work. The first is if you're launching a new product or a new service. I said what I said earlier about going to market. You need to have some human in your go-to-market. You want people to connect with the messaging, and remember, people are connecting with people. But maybe in the world of financial planning, you're thinking of niching down or niching down, however you want. I don't know how you say it, but I say niching. I think it sounds cooler. So maybe you're like, I'm going to niche down. That's it. I'm going to figure this out. I've been working with tech executives all this time. That is a great time to put a human on the front lines that's talking to that audience and telling them that they understand their pain points and what they're going through. Time to do that. So great opportunity to drive awareness. The second is, I would say, you're suddenly maybe facing some more competition, and your competition is doing it really well. They're going out, they're grabbing attention, and you want to make sure that you're staying, you have that competitive edge. And so again, putting someone dynamic on the front line to educate and talk about why you're different, what you're doing, the problem it solves. Great time for that. And then the last one, which I touched on a second ago, is when you're just too busy.
Yeah.
There are founders that cannot be the evangelist anymore. Maybe it's not that way, but now you're building a team. Now you're adding other advisors. Now you've got, client service associates that you're working with, or maybe you're fundraising. We see that more commonly in the tech space, which is primarily where I work, although I have worked with some RIAs on brand evangelism. You don't have time. You don't have time to sit in airports, to take stages, to stay in hotels. You're running a company. You're operating the business. The beautiful part about an evangelist, a dedicated evangelist, whether it's full-time or it's fractional, which is what I launched because I know not everyone can afford a six-figure full-time evangelist. But whether it's full-time or fractional, you need someone completely 100% dedicated to this role. And that's what they're doing.
Let's talk about like the actual what they're doing in the role. And then also pairing that with how do you measure the success? So I guess what I'm getting at is like, is it your responsibility as the evangelist to make connections with other businesses? Or is it your responsibility to be posting online? What are the actual tasks that an evangelist is doing? And then also pairing that with how you measure the success.
Yep. So all great questions. And this is where my initial answer as you were asking that question, because of course I'm always thinking, was, well, depends on who the client is, right? Depends on who's hiring you as the evangelist, because they all have different goals. But I like to think of it as you've got sales, marketing, business development. You can even add partnerships and PR all there. And an evangelist is going to sit right in that sweet spot. Okay. But depending on your goals, you might just want them creating content. They're writing a book. You're focused 100% this year on putting out a book, on doing a book tour, right? Yeah. Or you want us a little bit more over here towards sales and partnerships, and we're going out and we're hosting webinars with all of the most critical partner channels in the town or, across the nation virtually. So it really looks differently depending on where it goes. But when I step into this role, primarily I am creating content for the stage because that is where my top talent is. It's every evangelist top talent. I'm a professionally trained public speaker. This is what I love to do. I'm a performer by heart, and I believe the best presentations are not just teaching something, but they're truly creating memorable experiences, and they're true performances. So that's what I lead with for my clients. But also we're doing webinars, and we're making sure we're driving pipeline for the business. Yeah. We're generating demand for the business. And yes, we're generating a pipeline of leads that can more easily convert with the sales team because they're so warmed up and they've been following all this content, these videos that right? So webinar, educational videos, YouTube, getting in person, hosting events, writing a book, launching a podcast, pretty much any of these mediums where you can imagine a person coming in and talking and educating, that's where you can build around an evangelist playbook for your business. Yeah. The success metrics, it's going to depend on what these activities are. But I have a few questions. Like if you're looking at how are we being successful with this? Number one, are you generating pipeline? In my opinion, that's what it's all about. But at the end of the day, we're all running, businesses. We have to make money. So are you generating pipeline? Are you also increasing the awareness and more specifically, the amount of media that you're putting out and the amount of media opportunities that you're landing, right? We call that earned media. And again, you start to get in the PR world there. And what I do is very PR adjacent. But are you getting picked up by other people's channels with the messaging you have? Because it's so good and convincing and important. Right. Are more people talking about your product or your service more? Are they inquiring more? Are you getting more leads on your website? Are you seeing more conversions across your sales efforts, your business development, your partnership efforts? Yeah. Can you directly correlate more opportunities to the role? For example, I sent an evangelist to this conference. They got on stage in front of these decision makers, and we got 3 opportunities out of that. You can tie that right away. And then finally, because we didn't really talk about this a whole lot, but some companies just have an evangelist for their customers. So they literally want an evangelist to drive customer success, customer engagement, customer uptake of your product, adoption. And a customer, again, might be a partner or a client for financial planners. Are they more engaged? Are they asking more questions? Are they, talking to you more? Are they communicating with you more? Are they making positive comments more? That matters as well.
I see. Okay. So, tell me a little bit about the hiring process. I'm just interested how it comes about, right?
Yeah.
And then you also said something. So you're a fractional brand evangelist, but then you have people that you are pairing to be the evangelist. Does that make sense? Because you said like you send your evangelist to speak.
Oh, well, I wasn't really talking about me directly.
Okay.
At least not yet.
Yeah.
Stay tuned for future growth of Diana Cabrices Consulting. The process of hiring, though, like I'm putting myself in my client's shoes, right?
Okay.
I'm looking at this industry and I'm trying to find someone who's dynamic, who can make great content, who speaks really well, who is digitally savvy, who can build somewhat of a following, right? There is that influence factor there.
Yeah.
Someone who knows what they're talking about. Again, they understand the industry well. And sometimes that might not be a factor. If you're looking for an evangelist, they may not know all about how you as a financial planner serve tech execs. But you can teach them and they should be able to learn quick. They should be a quick study. That's something I hear a lot from my clients, like, wow, you're such a quick study.
Yeah.
There's a talent there. I don't know exactly where it comes from, but there's a talent there. And so, you can teach them these things, right? And again, everything that they're creating is about why. So you're a planner, you serve tech executives. Well, why? Well, because they have kind of complex, compensation packages and they don't really know what to do with it. Well, why? Well, because these employers are not making it clear enough. Well, why? Well, because they're not even supported well. Like you literally pull back the layers of the onion.
Right.
And that is what it comes down to. So I hope that answered your question. I went off on a little tangent. I'm very passionate about this, as you can tell. Like I'm literally heating up right now. I'm like, yes, like let's keep going. I could talk about this all day.
I love it. And that's why you make such a good brand evangelist. You're passionate.
It's definitely a key ingredient. I'm a passionate Latina woman. Like that's a key ingredient. You don't have to be Latina, but yes.
Yeah. Okay. So how many advisors do you think, well, I mean, obviously, usually the founder is the brand evangelist when you start out, right? How many advisors get to a place that they need one? I guess is the question I'm trying to say. Or would it be more like their RIA who owns them or, etc.?
I think once you start multiplying the amount of advisors in your firm, you're probably at a place where you're a good fit for hiring an evangelist. If it's just a lifestyle practice, and I don't mean to say just because I so respect anyone who runs a lifestyle practice, but if it is a lifestyle practice, you probably have enough time to be your own evangelist. You've probably built a nice, work-life schedule set up for yourself, and you could probably make time once a week to record some content and put it out there. But if you're like, I am extremely shy, I'm shocked that you're in the business because you're people all day. So that's not usually the norm anyway.
Right.
If you were like, you might want to think about hiring someone, even if you ran a lifestyle. But I would say the moment you start multiplying, that's when you know. For example, I did some brand evangelism work for an RIA out of North Dakota. And I think they have like 3 advisors at this point. They have some, client service associates as well. And they do seminar marketing. And they came to me and they're like, hey, we kind of want to change it up because we're just like 3 dudes doing our ads all the time on TV and on, digitally. But we want someone like you. We want a female, frankly. We want a female to be more diverse. And we want someone more dynamic and young and energetic than us. And they were just super honest with themselves. And they took a hard look and they're like, we need to change it up here. So they hired me and I did a series of TV ads to help promote their seminar. So like, even that is a form of evangelism.
Yeah. Okay.
And being that face, that voice for someone else's company.
I always, when I think about brand evangelism, and actually before I go into my little spiel, we do have a question.
Oh, cool.
Alexandra wants to know, how do you create easy to digest educational content that converts prospects? No pressure.
Oh, no question at all. That's just $1 million question. It's a great one. And hi, Allie. So good to see you in the audience. I think everything needs a framework, right? So when I think about creating videos, and I was just writing scripts at 8:30 p.m. last night because I got this like
Dang.
end of inspiration. Doesn't always happen, but last night it did. And I was thinking, all right, I'm going to go back to my framework because it doesn't fail me most of the time.
Yeah.
So it's usually, remember, start up here and then start peeling back that onion. Well, why? And then you're going to arrive to some spaces where you're like, okay, that would be a good video. And that would be a good video. And that would be a good video. And then when you create a script for a video, I always start with a hook. Did you know that, I think it was like 60% of Americans are preferring to go to AI tools instead of Google. I think I'm inflating that just a little bit. But that's like whoa, I didn't know that. Like it's changing that quickly. And then you go into, hey, here are 3 ways that you can start showing up on ChatGPT as a financial advisor. 1, 2, 3, make them short and sweet, something they can take away and implement right away. And of course, behind it all, you want them to move towards what you want, like that conversion. And so hey, by the way, we're here to help you with that. You can hit us up right here, comment the word AI. We'll make it easy for you. We'll send you a link. You'll be good to go. Right. So thinking about that framework and that why and keep peeling that back, that's going to give you so many different video ideas that you can just jump off from.
I love that. I love that. Why is such a powerful question to ask when coming up with content? Especially when you're doing it every day, you forget,
It's true. Yes.
Okay, so my little spiel I was going to go over was whenever I think of brand evangelists, I think of Dave Ramsey because I think about the fact it's been a while now, like 10 years, but in my head, it's only been like a year. He built his entire brand off of him, obviously. I mean, it's the name, but then as he's getting closer to retirement, he's had to think about how am I going to bring in other people, right? And so then he started bringing in what I would call other brand evangelists and then slowly introduce them. But that leads me to, and I have to think about how to word this. Like, okay, if I hire you, Diana, to be my brand evangelist, do I have like a 3-year contract? Because if you become the face of my company, how do I make sure that, well, now you're the face and now you're gone? What do I do?
Yep.
So how does that come into play when creating a brand evangelist or asking someone to be or whatever it might be?
It's such an important question. I'm actually so happy that you asked me this question because I'm sure people are also thinking it. So there's a few ways of thinking about this. Number one, you're asking about longevity. If you walk away and I made you the face of my company, what's going to happen? Yeah. First off, I always say, like, your evangelist, it shouldn't be your only face of your company. A good brand evangelist, a good chief brand evangelist is going to look within your company organization and they're going to find some other standout voices and they're going to lift them up alongside them. Right? And so it's not just me doing these interviews and these videos. I'm doing a lot of it, but I'm also interviewing these people so that they're getting exposure. I'm putting them on stage here, or I'm, getting them involved in video projects here. That's really important. And the founder should also always have facial presence in their business. At least that is what I believe wholeheartedly. I don't love a CEO that goes quiet. I don't love a CEO that is so busy over here and everyone else leads the charge. And then that person is just nowhere in the conversation. I'm not about that. And I won't work with people or clients that have that sort of CEO mentality. So a good evangelist is going to also bring up other people in the organization. And you're not going to be the only face and the only voice. However, sometimes we all get busy and that person's been dedicated to the role and it just so happens 3 years, out, they're like become the face and voice of your company and they walk away.
Yeah.
And you might think that's like, oh my God, that's so awful, but it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. They've pretty much built out a playbook for you to pick that up on and find someone else to do it or find someone else in the company. Certainly at this point, there's probably about 3 other people in that company that would say, I want to do what he or she does because I've been watching them and I love what they're doing. So it's not the end of the world, but you have to be preventative and proactive and make sure you've got a few faces and voices going on the front lines.
Yes, I love that. I love that. I never thought about it that way. Okay, so let's talk about the ones who the founder maybe they want to be, maybe they're forced into it. They have to be the brand evangelist. How can they do that effectively?
So one of the first things that I will do when I step into an engagement with a new client is I want to dive deep into the trenches of their customer voice. So I want to listen to all the call recordings I can get my hands on, from sales to customer success or customer service or client service. I'm speaking both like tech language and financial planning language right now.
Yeah.
But from sales to client service, I want to listen to these calls. Hopefully they're being recorded. If you run a business and your calls are not being recorded, that's a problem right there, because that content alone serves as gold for a lot of other things you're going to do in your business, including this. So I want to get to know the customer. What pain points are they having before they signed up? Then after they signed up, what's their experience been like? That right there will give you a nice like springboard into, okay, here's the main, let's call it 5 different topics I want to keep focused on in all of the work, right? Yeah. So maybe it's, again, tech executives have complex compensation packages, and here's why. And, here's what it should look like instead, and here's how we can serve them. And, getting a little bit deeper here, but you want to kind of create these different parallels of message. And then from there, it's the mediums, it's the video, it's the webinar, it's the event that you're hosting, the seminar that you're hosting, all those different channels where you're hitting on those topics, maybe not all at the same time, but that's kind of your guide right there, right? Yeah. And it all starts with the voice of the customer. If you're not starting there, then you're just starting where you want to start. You're starting where you want to sell that product or what you want to say about that product. You're not starting with the actual use case from a customer's voice. So that's where I would start.
Okay. I like that. So look at your recorded calls.
Yes.
Because that's where the gold is.
It really is. You'll get so many ideas. You'll get so many ideas.
If somebody is looking at becoming a better brand evangelist, is that something that you coach on?
I've been asked. And like I said, Diana Cabrices Consulting has some big goals.
Yeah.
When we were talking before the show, I told you I get married in 39 days. So I'm like, everything this year has been focused on that. But next year, it's certainly one of those focuses that I would love to bring to life, because so many people have reached out to me over the last few years to say, I want to do what you're doing, and can you teach me? And I never felt really ready to step into that. I wanted to get, at least 3 years, which I've arrived to, under my belt. And wow, I feel like I could even go longer before I start teaching people, because I'm always learning something new. But if you have a listener right now who's like, oh my gosh, I really want to learn more, hit me up. I can't promise I can talk to you before my wedding, but definitely early next year, we can talk about some coaching. Sure.
Awesome. For those who are listening, you can follow Diana, and I'm going to let you spell your last name here, but Diana Cabrices.
That's how I always spell it for people. Cab, like a taxi cab. Rice, which I love to eat. And then an S at the end. So Cab, Rice, S, Cabrices.
Perfect. And what channels are you on?
So primarily LinkedIn. That's like my top channel if you want to engage with me, my content, if you want to see how I evangelize brands for my clients. I was telling you before this interview, I don't talk enough about what it is to be an evangelist, why I'm so passionate about it, how to do it. I hope to, do more of that in the next year. But for now, you can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm also on X a little bit here and there. I feel like X has X'd me, like nobody sees my stuff anymore there. And YouTube, I'm on YouTube. So look me up on YouTube. If you're a planner and you need help growing your business, I have so many cool videos on technology, on AI, on marketing, all the fun things. So I'm also on YouTube.
I love that. This was so great, so helpful, clarifying what a brand evangelist is, what they do, And that probably most of the people listening are already one. Don't realize it.
This is probably one of my favorite interviews this entire year. I will tell you that.
Yay!
You're bubbly and smiley, and that feeds on my energy too, because I'm kind of the same way. And again, I love talking about this. So thank you for giving me a platform to talk about this.
Oh, absolutely. My pleasure. And for anybody who is listening or has not met Diana in person, you epitomize a hummingbird.
Oh my God, I love this. Okay. I
literally
love this.
Tiny little thing that's really fast and makes everybody happy. Yep. And it's just a joy. So I really appreciate you being.
That's like, I love that. Every time I see them, I'm like so enamored. I'm like, God, just so I feel that. I really do. Sometimes I'm too fast, but yes, thank you.
That was great. Thank you so much for joining us. Again, follow Diana on LinkedIn or YouTube. Thanks, Diana.
Bye. Thank you.
And for those who are still with us, if you have marketing questions and you don't want to ask them in the group chat as I'm live, use this QR code and we can meet one-on-one. You can ask me your questions and I will do my best to answer them. We've done almost 2 years now of weekly A.U.Ms, which is crazy. Thank you for everybody who has joined us. And join us next week. Hold on, let me move this to the side so you can see my face. Join us next week as we talk with Justin Peters on how to make your podcast discoverable. This was super interesting because I went to his community meetup and he started talking about everything you have to do to make sure your podcast can be discovered. And if you've been following me, you know that I have a course on how to promote your episodes. And so the first thing that popped up was something I said not to do. And I started freaking out like, oh my gosh, did I just steer everybody wrong? Luckily, he was like, don't do this. I was right. So join us next week. Find out what that was that I'm referring to and find out other things that you can do to make sure that your podcast can get discovered.